Good evening, YouTube. I'm Zachary Fowler, and welcome to episode 4 of How to Make a Good Thumbnail Go Viral. Did I? MakeA. Apparently I combined those, made that into one word. Interesting. Even when I think I spelled something right, I still managed to spell something a little bit wrong. MakeA. That's actually a good word. I like that. MakeA. So, tonight we're going to talk about thumbnails, then we'll look at your channels and answer questions, not necessarily in that order, except for talking about thumbnails, because they are literally the most important part of making a YouTube video. You could literally start, I mean, if you're smart, actually, I would start with your video idea and then think about how you can make that into a thumbnail. I've done a lot of things in the past that sounds like one of those statements. I've done a lot of things in the past I'm not proud of. Done a lot of videos I'm not proud of. No, I've done a lot of videos where I came up with the idea and I was like, oh, this is so great, and I became so obsessed with how awesome the idea was that I didn't think about the thumbnail until the last minute, which is kind of what I do most of the time because I fly by the seat of my pants more often than not, and it turns out okay, but a lot of times it doesn't. Like going fishing with my kids, I didn't really have any plan for it. I ended up taking a screenshot. So when I'm doing like things like the 30-day survival challenge or something, even if it's not like I'm trying to make a clickable viral video intentionally, the thumbnail is something I try to think about every day. About what can today's thumbnail be. I better stop and shoot a photo for it. If it's about catching bass, then I want to shoot a thumbnail for it sometime during the day when I catch that bass, not instead of throwing it back. Or if it's about cooking, then I'm probably going to try to shoot a thumbnail early on and a thumbnail later of the bass on the table, maybe me in the background, something real pretty like fire going. I'm going to be cooking it and it says catch and cook, real fancy. So we'll get into the details of how fancy you want to go as we get going here. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. So, thumbnails. Let me crack my seltzer here. It's a hot day here in Maine. It is so hot. So, thumbnails. I have all kinds of stuff to tell you guys about thumbnails, but I was trying to think of something that was like good for taking it from the top. I guess I already covered that. So the whole point of the thumbnail is that it's telling the story of what your video is in a glance, right? So if you do a good thumbnail, you're going to look at the video when you're scrolling by, or somebody does a good thumbnail. They're gonna have done a good thumbnail. They're gonna be scrolling through the news feed, and you're gonna see that it just grabs your eye. And the thing that grabs people's eye the most is a sharp image. It's in the genre of things you're interested in, and there's a certain couple other things like as far as color, saturation, and things like that. Now, this just happened to be up on here. It's a picture of Greg holding up his mousetrap thing. This is just a clip from the video that was randomly left up here. But if I was to make this into a thumbnail, it'd be very weak, even if I added the coolest other stuff and I changed this around because of how soft the image is, how soft the focus is on here, even when it's squinched down. Your eye perceives all that in a matter of seconds. And people actually, Google says that people perceive those thumbnails for less than 2 seconds and decide whether they're going to remain there to even process what they're looking at before they continue to scroll on. So the coloring, the quality, the depth of field of the photo, all of that goes a long way to making a click, or even getting people to take that impression and take it all in and absorb it, and then decide if they're going to click on it. And a lot of things, the first simplest things you could do is just taking a good picture. Now, a good picture is not a screenshot from the video. Even though the WOODSMEN, if you've watched his videos, he has managed to go along, and that's all he did for his first up until, I think until he got that EOSR, and copied me. He was always, and even now I wouldn't be surprised if I find out that some of those are still just like him in front of the camera, positioning and trying to just get things just positioned just right. Like he'll be in front of the camera and he'll hold up the possum or raccoon and just like try out different expressions. Now that's totally doable, and it works sometimes if you got a really good subject that's very clickable. As we think about going back to Greg's as a reference here, I could say that we've managed that multiple times because he has these clever ideas, and those are what ends up selling it. So we're able to patch them together. And if you look here, that is what his thumbnail is just him holding the stuff up, and it's a screenshot. And then we grabbed and cut him out and stuck some really beautiful mountain in the background and a thought bubble, imagining like catching the trout, which is actually a screenshot from the video, him catching the trout. And the same with this one here was actually a good photo, but it was of a trout, and we added the burbot and changed it to a burbot in the end on his popular upload side. Now this is probably the best example of bad screenshot becomes good video, which gets millions of views. So there's a couple ways of thinking of it. As I was putting this together in my mind, you got your good story, and if you can tell a good story and something that somebody wants to click on, something really clever. Now I would consider that to be obviously this, like a catching a fish in a mousetrap. You didn't actually catch it in the mousetrap, but people see that and they're like, "Whoa!" I don't know if I said that. Thumbnails, cover photos, cover pictures. That's what we're talking about. If anybody was miffed on that, I always call them pics or cover pics, and everybody's like, "You're so dated." Thumbnails. But this is a bad picture, but a great story, and people just click on it to want to know. That's not clickbait. It's telling the story that there's a mousetrap involved and a fish catch with a mousetrap, and he delivered. So nobody should have any complaints about that. But inevitably, some people will. And, oops, I don't want to actually show that, the video. Let's see, what else did he do that we did? We got the bushcraft rod, and that's kind of another technique of like this one too, showing something that's really unique will get the clicks, even if the thumbnail isn't as vivid as high quality photos. We got along in the 30-day survival challenge. These were all like, that's the one that we actually turned into the burbot right there, is a different one of these photos that we turned into the burbot video, which got tons of views, 400K in views right now. And that's a high quality photo. And when people see those on like a screenshot, they really grab your eye, and it slows you down because you see that and your eye perceives that, and it says production quality. Now, my tent versus hammock was just photos from my phone, but for the longest time, I'm gonna stop that. All of my photos, where's my popular uploads, were all done with photos from my phone. Even the Wilderness Living Challenge, I think, is when I first got into taking photos with my Canon, the Canon 80D. Now, as I'm saying this, you're like, I can't afford that. So that's what I was trying to say. In my popular uploads here, these were just photos from my phone. 30-Day Survival Challenge Season 1. Now, granted, there's a level of epicness in there with the story, and that's what sells it. And so that's what you want to be thinking about as you're putting together your thumbnail and how you could make a video, especially when you're first starting out. Now, sure, it's fun to just go and do whatever you want to do, and if that's your hobby, you can put more thought to it to try and make it a little bit more interesting and have some more fun yourself too. But at the same time, if you want to make a career of it and you want to leap to the top as fast as possible, you need to come up with or copy a relevant story that you can replicate in a thumbnail that gives you the opportunity to get the 1,000,000 views. So, the wilderness, let's see, that was all 30. Okay, so this one's another good one. And the nice thing about the modern phones is you can just say smile. So if you're setting it up and you're taking a picture from the back, you can't see and you don't have any help, you can still say smile and you hear that click. And that was what happened here. I went over and I had piled the snow a little bit higher to make it look a little bit better around my shelter. And I was, playing around with it and ran back really quickly, and it was all lined up just right. And I clicked focus on something right next to me. And I said, smile, 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 and kept throwing the snow as if I was shoveling snow. And I had been snowed in out there, and it did excellent. It was those photos that was a Samsung Galaxy 7 at the time. And the photos are really excellent from those cameras, as well as filming capability. I would say that in some cases, you might do better than buying yourself a camcorder. Because think about it, you buy like a decent camcorder, you spend $300 or $400, but you go get a cell phone and you're paying on it for 2 years. That's a $900 or $1,000, device that has quite a bit of software dedicated to filming. The new iPhones, I mean, you could do an epic channel with just that. Get a microphone, a bracket to hold the thing, and be able to do your editing, everything on it. It gets tiresome doing all the editing and all that stuff on a phone. That's why I kind of like the Galaxy 10 with the stylus. You can edit your photos, do work on them. It's doable. You're still going to want, I would say, to up your game as soon as possible, be able to have a computer. All right, so thumbnails, doable without spending a lot of money. If you do want to spend some money and start to get into the cameras, I was shooting with the Canon 80D for the longest time, and I didn't even put my videos out in like upscaled to 4K, because when you put it out in 1080, YouTube kind of dims them down a little bit because of the coding. So they could even be a little sharper if you do put them, render them out with your software in 4K. So I wasn't even at that point taking pictures with the 80D and high quality. And now that Canon's upgraded to a whole level, the R series of cameras, then those cameras are used like Canon Rebels, things like that. You can get for a very affordable price. They sell the YouTube package ones, and the photos that you can get out of those is epic, because with the camera lens, as opposed to just even a phone, that depth of field and that feel that people get to it when they scroll by a picture and they see you doing something interesting, and you got that interesting story, you're telling the whole story combined with a good photo, it's going to make a big difference. Now, if you ever heard of Mr. Beast, he said in one of his interviews that he spends just as much time on his thumbnails as he does the entire video. And considering their entire videos are usually them just like standing there with their hands on a stack of money, and if somebody moves, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but like what I think he means by it the most, though, is that before the video even starts and they even start filming and the ideas are being thrown around, they're thinking about how to lay out that thumbnail so that it's as epic as possible, so that it tells the story and it's super clickable, so that when people come to it, they just can't resist wanting to know the story, even if they're going to click through the video really quickly and skip over a bunch of stuff. So to go and make a video and spend all this time on a video and all this love and filming that you put into it and just hard work, and then just go and stick like a screenshot on it and scribble some words across, doesn't do you justice, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to be is all that you can be, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like So think about that before you go into it. If you're going to go out and you're going to go trout fishing and you're going to go, do something, maybe the night before, watch some other videos on it. You have for instance, maybe you have a GoPro and you have a little fishbowl. You could take that fishbowl and put it into the water with some rocks on it and stick the GoPro inside, and you get a nice divided water line. And you get a photo of the fish under the water with your hand releasing it, and you above the water and the rod in your mouth, and you take a good screenshot that way. And that's like something epic that you couldn't do with another camera unless you had the really expensive water case, or you try to think of something that really tells a story in a way that nobody else has told the story before. Even if the rest of your video sucks, at least your thumbnail gets them in the door. Because if you can't get them in the door, then you can't make the sale, right? What's that movie where they're selling? Always be closing. Always be closing. So you wanna always be closing with that thumbnail. You need to close the deal and get the click. And to do so, you need to tell the entire story, or the salient point, the epic point of a story. Even if what you're doing is the most boring thing in the world, tell the most epic part of that in the thumbnail so that you get the click. So say you have been a channel and you're just, all you do is bass fish. Not, it's like that could get boring to people, but you're try to tell a different story each time. It's a new lure, test and catch, you come up with new new playlist series, new whatever. You come up with new adventures, and like I did with a 30-day survival challenge. So if your thing is fishing, you could do a little series on antique lure restoration and catch, and find lures at garage sales, try to find a little history on it, keep it really short, and the thumbnail is antique lure catch, cook, and catch, fix, catch, and cook, or something like that. People love the catch and cook. So find an idea for a thumbnail or an adventure. Check out other people's videos. Look for what's trending in your subject. You could type in bushcraft and see what's on those top videos. I mean, that is probably the easiest thing that you could do to build a good thumbnail right from the beginning, and story for your video would just be to find what you're into and check on what is trending right now. So let's say we type in bushcraft and see what comes up. And you got Wooded Beardsman. He just put out a video today, so he's ranked number 1. Joe Robinette. You can check and see what Joe Robinette's been up to. 20 survival tips, 10 survival tips, things like that, always key. And building forts is always coming up first. Forts of some sort, forts, shelters, and copying those thumbnails to make the most of your opportunity. I wouldn't even consider it cheating if you made a fort that looked exactly like TA Outdoors and you're just not in it, and just see how many clicks you get. I pretty much guarantee you that if you built something that looks like that, probably that wouldn't go very far for you, but he's Joe Robinette, so he can get away with it, but something like that's not that hard to build. This little shelter here, lean-to, something, if that's what you're into. Obviously, if you're not into that sort of thing, then I don't want you to go out and try to be something you're not. But I'm saying, look up your subject, bass fishing. And see, I don't even know how to spell bass. Look at that. You guys are listening to me. So look up bass fishing. It's pretty much all Guggen Squad stuff. But you can see what's trending. I did notice last year it was food chain challenge was trending. And there was a couple channels that have like no views whatsoever. And they had a simple thumbnail. I think he was holding up like a half of a catfish head. And it said food chain challenge. And it was just like, I didn't even know what the food chain challenge was. And I was just like, it just was like, oh, I got to know about this. The Walmart Survival Challenge and the Dollar Store Survival Challenge. If you guys are into the survival stuff, you know, those are going to be like evergreen videos. You could end up getting tons of views over time as people kind of go through and start binge watching the series of people's videos based on that. And YouTube, because YouTube is suggesting, if you get lucky, your video after somebody else's who already did it, then you get some rollover views. And then you continue to move up and move on. So as you get into your YouTube and you want to make a viral video, the coloring, the warmth, the cleanness of the image, watching videos on how to do this is going to be, it's going to make a huge difference. Because if you don't get the click, you don't get the view, you don't get a chance to gain a new subscriber, and you don't go anywhere. It sounds pretty simple, but it is pretty simple. It's just a matter of continuing to bend your mind to it. And the more you bend your mind to it, the more practice you get, and then you'll manage to start coming up with things. You'll start to see your videos pop. I mean, you don't even have to go, for instance, and look at other people's content to see what is really good. You can look at your own content and see what's doing well. We could look at our friends' channels here who were open last week and see what they did. That was, we got Geo Auto, and he's the good here to have your popular uploads. I think we talked about that last time. And you can see that he keyed for the words of this vehicle, 1 year ownership review. Awesome idea for a title, because that's like buying a brand new vehicle and you're trying to find something about things. A lot of people try to find reviews on things, and you find a review on a guy who unboxes it and says it's cool, you know, and like, that's great. You know, that doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me how long it's going to last, but doing a 1 year review. And so it's like what he did there, and that obviously 10K in views for, you know, it looks like your average views were all way under, you know, are all under 100, around 50, you know, probably, yeah, somewhere around 50. So you want to replicate what you've already done successfully in many ways as possible. You know, if there's look at your subject. So in this case, maybe like look for, you know, if there's a recall, check and like keep an eye on that. Cause like if there's a recall on a part, you could be like recall on 2000 whatever. And people are like, what? There's a recall on my truck? I was just looking at buying one, or I just bought one and I'm looking up fancy ways, and that video pops up and your video ends up taking off. Just keep being creative with it. Looking at all of that, what you did, we talked about that last time, like his hammock here, and you had 2.3K on this one. So, you know, do it again and did another review on it or something, and try and replicate that success. And that thumbnail and that title and stuff, that was so good, and that's why that one did really well, because it looked. When people see it, their eye caught on it. It looks professional, and so they say, "This is a good production. I'm going to give it a shot. Give you a shot." Now, when it comes to making your thumbnail, let's see, how do we put this out of the way so it's not in the way? There we go. I don't even know how to operate my computer. So, making the thumbnail, I use Affinity. There's other softwares out there. Photoshop is a great one. I haven't learned how to... Affinity is a lot like Photoshop, and I got this before, but Photoshop, you have to pay monthly. And there's ones you can get on your phones and stuff, but this is for a Mac, and I really like it. So try to get a nice... spending the money on something like this, there's ones for PC, I'm sure, that you can get that are don't have to keep paying for them. And so that's kind of a key thing. Unless you want to keep paying for the Photoshop, because you're going to do a lot of stuff with Photoshop. What I do, let me see if I can't break down. Well, this looks probably insane to you if you start looking at the side right here. Now, this is all the stuff that we did to the photo. Actually, that was one that Matt finished the edit on, so I should probably take it to... All right, let's keep it to a simple one. So, for instance, here we go. This is the one we did just the other day. And for the Wilderness Living Challenge, 7 days. So, the story is you see some hunting, some game, maybe even to somebody, they're like, is he shooting eagles? So you're creating a little bit of a question. That's something that you really want to bank on. Like Tent versus Hammock has the 8 million views because I banked on the question. People going, is Tent better than Hammock? Is Hammock, or they think they know the answer, so they want to watch to confirm that they were right or that you're wrong, and they can tell you that you're wrong. And so a little bit of question with this, what animal is that? Not seeing that it's a grouse, adds to the clickability of the thumbnail. Like, is he shooting eagles? That's illegal. I know that's illegal. Or wait, he's shooting grouse. This isn't the right season for that because this video is posted at a different from a year before, but a re-edit with a little bit of extras. So, there's that aspect of it. And then over here, you can see I jack. Now, these are one of the things that catches people's eyes, as well as having a good photo. This was actually just a phone photo. So we got jack the vibrance. You can see that in the hat becomes more orange. The greens become more green. Everything becomes more, just a bit more. That was a mask layer, so it was actually just for the hat. So the hat's more green. But if I undo that one and this vibrance, that's what the original photo looked like. Not very epic. And then lens flare, adding warmth, and I guess I didn't add anything else to this one. So it's like, boom, that's the original. It doesn't look too bad, but then you turn all that back on, and it's like, it just pops as your eye comes past it. And if other people are just putting up screenshots of things and that haven't been edited, and then they scroll past something that just jumps out at you, and keeping these words small. Don't get too carried away with words, trying to put like your logo in the top corner here, and always be aware that in the smallest form, once your thumbnail isn't being presented to people and they're scrolling on your page, you want to keep it readable as possible as well, because it ends up really tiny, and right here all gets taken up by timestamp. But as far as cooking, that doesn't matter. It's like 7-day catch, and it's pretty obvious. And at that point, they're reading more of your title than anything else. And the other big thing is trying to take a photo and matching that to the start of the video. So if people click on a photo and it doesn't get to, or your little teaser for your video doesn't get to the point of what the photo is about, they're going to think you're trying to hoodwink them. Even if they don't perceive that fully at the front of their brain, they're going to feel a little let down, and they're going to they may just walk away. So you get that first click, and now it's bringing down your watch time because you didn't deliver quick enough. And you deliver quick enough by literally, showing, like in this one, showing, this is the movie, so it just goes into a slower start for the whole movie and introducing the idea. So it's like, that's not going to happen, but let's see what else. We got, like, the cereal guy. So the first beginning of this whole thing is, like, zooms around, the camera pans around, ammo goes flying down range, and just like this is Frozen, there's a frozen moment of the ammo sitting there spinning that I added, and then it wipes out a piece of cereal that matches the thumbnail, and so instantly, even if they hadn't clicked on it yet and they're just watching the video start to pre-play, they say, this guy delivers on what his picture says. I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to trust him with some of my time. That was a screenshot or something that we put up as a promotional thing. Did I have other ones set out? Oh, okay. So this is a little sneak peek at something I got coming up. And I'm trying to build out a thumbnail. This was just something I chopped all together really horribly because I did a micro catch and cook. And it's like, how in the world do you show micro? So I got really creative here, and Matt's actually working on tuning this up so it'll be look a lot better, obviously. So we got the coin, we got the telescoping rod, and the background scene, the rock, and another photo of up close with the coin, and then another photo over here, and we pieced all these together. So it's one photo here with the fish. When it's done, nobody will ever know they weren't all just one photo. And we're going to add another fish in there that's looking straight at the camera, and these fish will be a different photo. That was just to explain to Matt what I was looking for. The tape will be removed and masked out. The little end cap on the rod was coming unscrewed, and we'll just clone a little bit to fill that in so it doesn't look awkward. And this will look a lot better. Like, it's a zoom in on the coin, as if you can see the hook there when you can't even see it because it's so tiny. And when I shut off the elements, and you could see the brightness is reduced, it's like it loses pretty much everything the background. So that was the original photo right there. It's just like this is a raw photo, that's why it looks so dark and cheesy. But it's like, now that we turn on, there's the background that was cut out from the one before. It's just cut out lamely right now so that I could just demonstrate to him what I was looking for. And then added those in. We added the brightness, and it would have more saturation stuff, and the hand and vibrance on those fish, and it's going to end up looking a bit like that. So being creative and learning how to use this photo software, like this is a combination right here. Just that little bubble was a separate photo I had taken closer in, zoomed in, so that I could get that shot of the hook. And then you combined a circle with it was a regular photo like this, and then I combined the circle with the thing, and I don't know how I learned how to do that, honestly. It takes a while to learn some of this photo stuff, because that's like a whole nother thing compared to video editing software. But if you're going to put all this time into making a video, you want people to see it. So you need to take the time to learn how to make and turn a creative photo, inventive photos that tell the story. And I think this will do it. I don't know how many views it'll get, because I tend to not get a huge amount of views on fishing stuff. But once again, this is like, instead of thinking of the epic thumbnail to start with, I thought of something I really wanted to do. I got this little Taiko pole for micro fishing, with these microscopic hooks for catching tiny largemouth bass and minnows that were in the lake. And I caught some of them and some creek chubs, and just had fun doing it for my own sake. And then I had to come up with a way to show that, which is this is the worst way to show it, because I can't even show the pole extended all the way out, because fishing poles don't fit in photos very well, unless you show it in your hand and then it goes out from there. But you have a hard time telling distance, and they get blurry. So I made it pretty hard on myself by not coming up with what was epic first. It may do well, because I have seen some of the other people do micro fishing things that did really well, and people are pretty enamored with cute little things, and those fish in the better photos we have are pretty cute. So, as well as the hook, that's a cute hook. Trying to think of that. That pretty much covers it, I think, for my initial thoughts on cover photos, thumbnails for you, and looking for ideas, coming up with the idea before you head out there, especially before you head out there, because no matter what you're going to do, whether you're doing a video on putting in a part on an RV, having that mindset. I can't tell you how many times I've kicked myself because I'm out there, and at the epic moment of the cooked meal, but the fire was going and all that, and I was like, I'll have to take a screenshot. I didn't take a picture when it was looking really sharp, I should have taken a picture. If I just stopped for a second and taken a picture at some moment, it would be really cool. And if you come up with a creative thing ahead of time, then you have some room to play, and you can have some fun with it. Like when the day we saw the bear, I took a shot later of the binoculars, holding up the binoculars, and I just added bears in the lens of the binoculars as if I was looking across, and it told the story. And that was the day that we saw the bear, and we looked at him from a distance through binoculars, and we weren't lying, and it was pretty neat, and it got some views, or kept the views up at the time. So let's answer some of your questions, and then we'll look at some channels and stuff and things. Kit Zero, I sent you an email with the questions. You keep saying that you got questions for me, and I can never seem to find them. I don't know. We're having a failure to communicate here for some reason. I don't know what it is about your magical emails and questions that I cannot seem to. Oh, there it is right there. Look at that. It's right at the top of the list. Okay. Well, we can answer some of these questions right now. I'll put them over here. And what icon source should I let's open up, look at your channel review after we answer the more general questions about thumbnails and stuff. Do you guys have any questions for me? And then we'll get into Kit Zero's questions here about questions for me about the thumbnails, good choices for you guys, ideas of things that you've been thinking of, something I thought of. I would definitely encourage you guys to go after some of the popular subjects. A food chain challenge, if you're a fishing channel, would be awesome. Using a bear hook to catch a bluegill, or I don't know. I think some that they were trying to shun using worms maybe or something like that. But I would say food chain challenge. You could start with a grasshopper or anything. Catch a fish and then try to catch. Like the trick is catching a small fish, like a minnow, and like I just did recently, and then using that fish to catch the next bigger fish, but trying to catch the smallest fish you can each time so that you can use them. So you use the smallest bluegill to catch a small white perch or something, and use a white perch, or perch to catch a pike or something to that effect, and work your way up. You could do a food chain challenge that steps out of the norm and goes into using the like I was gonna do, using the bass remains or something to catch lobsters, and then using lobsters in a have a heart trap to catch a raccoon, and then you eat the raccoon, and then it's like, so you kind of went in a different direction than what everybody else went, and it makes it really interesting. Or just seeing how much you can catch in one day, like or 39 hours series they did for uncut angling. Find somebody's popular series that they've done. For some reason I got fishing on the brain today as I was out fishing this morning, so my ideas are all around fishing. Copy the popular ideas. The Walmart Survival Challenge. If you're a fishing guy, go do a Walmart Survival Challenge. Do an overnight camping. I mean, if you want to make YouTube videos, you want to key in on those popular things and take advantage of them, especially those ones that'll be around. The Walmart one, the dollar store. I mean, you could do a dollar store fishing challenge where you go to the dollar store and, build a lure. You could do a Goodwill lure build. And so, you do a series where you just start going around and building fishing lures at different random places that you wouldn't get a fishing lure at. Like, you got your hook and your wire, but everything else you pick up. And you're like, oh, I got some spoons from Goodwill, and then you go from there. Oh, and one other thing I thought about a lot is you'll notice that, let's switch back to, I'll show you this. Right here, where he did well, they're 2.3K in views, right? He's not in the thumbnail. 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 In the thumbnail. It's like, I'm not saying you're not pretty, because you're a pretty guy. No, just kidding. Getting weird. I'm
Avery.
Avery. You're just fine. But not having yourself in a thumbnail is a good strategy at times, because you trick people into, but it's not a trick. It's just like people, they don't have to choose if they like you or not. You're not putting them on the block and making them choose. And if people like you and your channel is because of you and not because of gear, then putting yourself in the thumbnail is a good strategy. And when you don't put yourself in the thumbnail, people are like, and YouTube, and they might not get the clicks per impressions because your people don't recognize you, and then it doesn't go as far. But when you're starting out, if your video is about reviews and things like that, I would say don't have yourself in the thumbnail. Don't be, because like you are taking up real estate that otherwise could be used to sell the thumbnail. Right here, he's showing something off, so that's different. Tangle-free cordage. When I did my how to deal with slingshot bands, I did my thumbnail, and it did pretty decently for, I had like rubber and I was all tangled up. Like, what do I do with it? So it took advantage of it. But there's plenty of times where I'm in the thumbnail because that's my thumbnail strategy, and you want to be consistent with your thumbnails so that even if you're not in your thumbnails, that your titles and things tell your subscribers that this is a video from you and they can trust you with it. But to everybody else, it's a video about what they're seeing, and you're not wasting that real estate of the thumbnail by putting yourself in there when it could actually be a little bit closer on the image and have more detail and more or the something in the title that kind of sells that a little bit more. If it's a hammock and it's like sleeps flat hammock, could be in the picture, but if you're in the picture, there's no room for that. See what I'm saying? And make a different style one. Okay, so I'll scroll back up a little bit. Seems like we got a conversation. So always carry a tripod. Tripod's good. You take a thumbnail from a tripod. Yes, I always take my thumbnail from the tripod heads, have it all set up. It's miserable trying to set up a phone against stuff and like prop a stick on top of it to hold it in place. Always have a tripod. I know it can be a pain in the neck toting those around, but that's like one of my biggest weight expenditures is having my nice tripod with the trigger handle, because I can pivot the camera's head and just set the camera stand down. Don't have to worry about leveling it up hugely. Grab that one trigger handle and turn the head in the directions I want it, and just when I'm looking at the camera, I could do it too. Or I grab that handle, pick it up, and go selfie mode for just a little bit to carry me into the next shot. I have, for the USR, for when I am alone, I have a little buttons that you plug into the camera, and then you have it on you, and you click it for a 2-second click, and I can click it, drop it, and be right there, and get that photo, and then take a couple, and then go back and look at them all. If you have a really expensive camera, you could always do what the WOODSMEN does too, but put it into 4K and get a 4K shot, because in some cases, most cases, those 4K screenshots are going to be even clearer than some smartphones for the most part, I think, when it comes to density of pixels. So that way you don't have to, you can just kind of keep maneuvering, reach over with the hand you're not using in the photo and try to touch the focus onto something that the fish and your part that you're trying to show off and that the video is all about. What do we got here? So Greg, Greg wants to send you the mousetrap. That's a good question. I mean, Greg's is so different and unique. Tyler's saying that if he got the mousetrap from Greg, because Tyler spent so much time helping us during the premieres of the videos, monitoring and keeping the riffraff away. Just lots of hard work. So Greg volunteered to send him the mousetrap or something, and like, should he copy that exact thing? I would say in this instance that may be something you don't want to, because you don't want to like get all the clicks because you're copycatting. You want to get the clicks because it's not copycatting to do Walmart Survival Challenge and be like out in the woods and hold up 2 Walmart bags exactly like somebody else did. But in this instance where nobody has ever done it before, so having the mousetrap, and like have a mousetrap and then have a string hanging down from it, and and be like, fish catching, mousetrap catches fish, mousetrap trigger system, mousetrap fish catcher, would probably be better off. So I would say make a different style one. What resolution and pixel do you tend to upload for your thumbnail? So the YouTube will only accept 1280 by 720 for your thumbnails. So I suggest you watch after this, like some of those people I suggested that you can watch, YouTube creator people that's all they talk about. You watch a couple more videos on this during this week about thumbnail strategies, pick up on some of the stuff that I didn't talk about, and things they suggest, like not using, we didn't get into it, but like not using colors, like too many colors and stuff. Like using a white really works good. Using too many fancy different styles of font can get very confusing for people, and they can be harder to read and they're harder to perceive at an instant. Maybe don't, I don't know, copy what you see other people are doing successfully. So, once again, type in the subject that you are making videos to, that subject that you're making videos all about, and look at the thumbnails and see which one popped to you. Which ones, when you scroll through, just survival, bushcraft, review, tools, whatever it is, which ones do you see and you're like, whoa, that's nice. It's easy. Like at the beginning, I fell in love with how I made my own thumbnails, and now I look back at them and I'm like, they're so childish. Even just from now to the first 30 Day Survival Challenge, where I was bending the letters because I learned how to bend the letters, and now I'm all obsessed with at times of making them see-through or like blend in, and like during the 30 Day Survival Challenge, this recent one, I was making them go along the lines of things and having them tuck behind things, and so that they're kind of like so as if you cut out and you fit them in behind things. That makes such a big difference. That says like, oh, you spent time on this. This has quality. This has some character more than what I'm used to watching. I'm gonna give this a try. I wouldn't say do that with the. Oops, I clicked on the hammock thing. I was gonna say his hammock one, like. Trying to think of a certain instance, like if you got mountain range in the background and you can write it against the clouds and just make something new and different that tells a story and draw people in. Forge Survival does now, Lord. A lot of people have gone away from font in the thumbnail. Do you think I should still be using? Blue collar fishing. Well, while you're asking the question, and I actually have your channel open, let's just look at how you're using it and how well you're doing with it, and that would answer our question. Because in some instances, why can't I say that word? Instances, yes. Like, okay, see, you have right here. This one is what I watched the other day of yours. Like I said, I was gonna watch one of your videos, and that works so good. The red, I find like red, like just like bowls, like red. Unless you're trying to highlight something down here, you got like a red going to show something in the bushes. And, if the title had been Sasquatch on our fishing trip or something, that fishing trip turns X-rated, I guess. It didn't really work for you because nobody wants to necessarily watch something that might be dirty, I think. They want to watch something that pretends not to be dirty and might be dirty. Like that. There's one couple that makes videos about living in their yurt, and they're always the thumbnail of her topless from the back, like carrying a log or carrying a milk, whatever. And so you like, everybody wants to see some skin, and so that gets clicks. But whereas like, oh, whoa, it might be something dirty that it doesn't really work usually. But this, now you got the bass and then creek bass, and the words are tucked behind it. That, to me, it's warm, it pops out, and I think your views show that. As people scroll by, you got twice as many, if not 1.5 times your average amount of views nailed down on that one. So in that instance, yeah, this one, if the picture can tell the story, I would say, try to let the picture tell the story and add words if needed. Like in this instance, the words didn't help you because they like disappear into stuff. So white words, you'd want to put them down below where they would reflect against your clothes. Maybe add my favorite thing to do is just add like a fine black line around them, not like a thick line like the WOODSMEN does, which is his thing, so I don't want to copy it. And then you add, you can even reduce the opacity a little bit so that they don't stick out, so they're almost blending into everything a little. They're not so bold, but they're there. Like these ones here. They're a nice little bit of see-through. They're readable with a touch of a black outline, so they're a little bit harder. That would be good. And the only thing that makes these not work so well is the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on in the cover photo that you can't perceive, whereas if the cover photo had just been a fish in the bottom, swimming, you had a nice shot of him or something, and then there's a words, that one's a great just a plain picture, of out for the day, out for the adventure, trying to come up with some more story that would make it, more clickable, like adding winter fishing. People like are looking for sometimes, like, how do I catch fish during the winter? It's a little bit more obnoxious. So you key into those things if you can. Key into the things that the other guys are posting, the bigger channels, and if you can key into those exact same things and get them. I watched your videos, one of your videos here, and trying to think of, it's been a couple days now.
It looks like it's nice smallie.
I would say get to the delivery of the action quicker. You're telling people the videos about fishing, and then it was you getting to the fishing spot. Save that kind of stuff for when you're rich and famous. Then you can show all that to him. Get to the delivery. Show some highlights like cling, cling, cling. Oh, that one got away. Oh, there's a huge one. Go to black. And I noticed your channel doesn't have some sort of a little teaser. I would run some sort of a little title and like couple epic clips from other most epic moments, like ding 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 ding, and you could even end it with subscribe and move on with, all right, we're heading down. You said here, all right, it's 5 a.m. It's early. We're heading down, and let them know that's what it is. Boom. The next thing is picking up Joe. I didn't get to that part. I skipped ahead. Like I said, it's like I want to see the fishing. And then you're at the river, all right, we're at the river. Come up with some reason to make it a little bit more entertaining, like first fish wins, and get into it and start having some fun. Show your lures. If you have a GoPro and you can show that underwater and you show how those lures are moving, that's always a really great thing. And that's a great little bit that you can put at the beginning for teaser-wise. And other than that, yeah, work on copying some of those ideas that other people do and doing something new and interesting every time if we can help it, and give the people the opportunity. Stay away from the red. So right here you have live chat. Don't advertise that. Live chats tend not to do as well. So why it's not clickbait, but take an intentional thumbnail and make a thumbnail for your live chat and put that up there, like you and your buddy, in some better way. I'm not sure what that means and all that. So, a cover photo of something. Like I was thinking of somebody I know. He hasn't done many videos since, but he had a cover photo of like in the car window, like how to talk. He's a gun instructor, and he's like how to talk to a cop when you get pulled. How to tell a cop you have a gun when you get pulled over. There was no cop in the picture. I would edit it with a cop in the picture and him like holding a gun, but he's just holding his gun up on the steering wheel, kind of pointed towards the window, and it was like it got millions of views, and it's still getting tons of views now. So yes, use words. Keep those words as minimal as possible, and if you can fill the photo with your story and it's clever and it doesn't need words, then do that first instead of anything else, and leave yourself out of it if you can help it, or leave yourself blurred out further into the background so it like kind of gives people to perceive the fun stuff that's happening in the front. So I just clicked away from your thing, but Pennsylvania, and you got the bait that you're going to use, and you've caught a little fish with it. Those things should have been like shoved in the camera's face, and it could have had you guys in the background, but it's like, oh, I want to see how well this bait catches stuff, Make it, tell that story. If you guys start talking to each other, that would, after this too, and like team up, send each other cover photos and encourage each other, and like, hey, what do you think of this one? Test out ideas. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I have an idea. What if you added this or circled that in red or highlighted that and put a drop shadow to it? And you can watch videos on how to edit photos and how to edit cover photos and find some more details on that. That'll set you down some rabbit holes for sure. You are welcome. I hope that helps you, and don't take it as harmful criticism. I don't see anything wrong with what you're doing. There's always stuff that we can do better, and replicate the successes that you have had. I really can't say how much. I can't even begin to say how much I love that creek bass photo. That just pops. I would have clicked that if I had found it in my news feed, even if you only had 100 views, and I would have clicked it and given it a try. And I would have skipped ahead and skipped past, the car driving, things like that, though, and might have lost my interest after seeing, what the story was generally about and things, but that doesn't mean you can't keep improving and keep replicating that success is what I would go for. What about catching a fish with an iPhone as a lure idea? Are they waterproof, the iPhones? But that would be pretty cool because you could do iPhone lure and, you put a hook on it. I'm sure a bass would wail on that. And then you have the camera recording the whole time too. So it would be horrible footage, but it's basically you have it and you kind of let it swing around. And you get a couple shots of times where it's swinging around in front of you, and then you cast, and it's like, swoosh, and then you see a little bit of water footage of it like flickering here and flickering there, and you don't actually get the bass catch, but you on the other camera, all of a sudden there's a thump, and then you're, bang, and you're pulling in, and there's all this splashing, and there's this noise, and then you switch back and forth from that camera to the iPhone getting wailed on. Somebody did that with a GoPro, and I don't believe any of the footage was all that good, but you're like, kind of sucked into it with all the shaking and the things going down. It was neat. So that would definitely be a neat idea. Okay, let's check out Travel by Faith. He says he's got something we should check out. Let's see. Travel by Faith. Let's see, we got switch it so you guys can all see it. So, when we looked at your channel before, it was like we got the mud flap thing. That's like a perfect, simple image. Maybe the only thing that I would say that was lacking for showing off what was happening there. So it's explaining it in an instant. Like you're pointing at a mud flap thing. It would just been having a screw gun or something like that. Because you got all this wasted space in the photo here where you could have been like install in words or a screw gun showing that you're installing it. Good light handy knife. Adding images into your title. I've never really thought about that. I have no idea how that plays out. I got some interesting stuff going on here because you got like a slingshot and a knife and maybe a fire start, a drill, all kinds of neat things. But you got a lot of wasted space. That slingshot, I would have, because it's me, I would have put it forward and stuff like that. Be careful about doing things that allows them to blend and disappear into the background. Like this is good. Like right there, having the save money, make your own RV filter is pretty good. It's like, DIY air filter, could have been a better set of words there, and the filter turned up towards the camera more. So, telling the story as much as you can. Take those photos, take multiple photos, and try to tell that story. Hi, honey. Huh? I got a little visitor here, so give me 2 seconds. What is up, little pumpkin? Oh, your tummy doesn't feel good? You'll have to get you a drink of water? Alright. They get to stay up late because they had naps, so. Summertime. Wouldn't it be nice to be summer and be a kid, huh? Miss just playing. Spent all day swimming. They get to spend all day playing and swimming. It's a hard life. So, I have been rereading some of my recent thumbnails as well if you want to check. Oh, redoing some of them. Okay. UV. And then we're going to answer the questions because UK Survival channel. There he is. Oh, just gotta switch it so everybody can see your shame. Just kidding. So we can all shame you. All right, how do I get there? I'm clicking on my viewing screen. That's the one that you see to try to click onto his channel. So we got pocket fishing kit. Kind of like what I just did. That's such a hard one to take a picture of. I would go and but that is such a unique thing, and that is like you kind of did something there that is one of those key, and you can see it I think in your views here, that your views have gone up on this kit. Wish is kind of a neat thing to do a video on because, you know, getting stuff off of cheapo, doing a Wish survival challenge, great idea. Really great way to go about it. I would say, like we talked about though, not being in the photo so that you can sell it to everybody. They don't have to decide whether they like you. Maybe some people don't like smiling because there's a lot of grumpy people out there. And if they see somebody that's happy, they're like, ugh, you know. And if you're new and this is what you're doing and you want to make the most of it, having that pocket fishing kit, so now they have to read it to realize what you're doing. And since it's so far away, I would say get that photo of just your hands, kind of like Greg Ovens with his bushcraft rod. You know, you got your hands and the tip of your hands and maybe a little container with those fish right in front of you. I wouldn't say necessarily go back and start doing everything all over like that, but that reads a little bit hard with the red and with the different text style there, unfortunately. Wish reads really easily, and I think if I had to say any reason why this video got more views and was doing better than the other one, which I think this one did well too, is because of Wish. You know, people are like, oh, he's buying stuff off of Wish and doing something with it. That's why it's, you know, it is what it is. That looks so much cleaner. You had a lot of stuff going on. I thought, if is that the one you did? Must have redone that over. That's clean and readable in the red, and it's a good choice against those backgrounds and good choice of font. May I find a font like this one and pick that and continue to use that one and stuff. And that one's kind of cool how it goes in the water, but because it's that clever font again, that it makes it a little bit harder to read. So I like that, and I like the little bit of blurring, and that's a great thing to do. I'll manually blur your backgrounds, except for if you're trying to write on your water and you manually blur your background, you ruin your opportunity. But maybe there was something you're trying to get out of it. It's but it does add that adds a neat effect, and that looks kind of cool. So great changes all around, I'd say. So let's open up email here. From Kit Zero, he has some questions. What icon sources should we focus on? Amazon, ad rev, sponsors. Not sure what you mean there about icon sources. Once up and running, what method do you recommend for advertising ourselves to get more views? Oh, that's a great question. Awesome. Very important question. I recommend if you're going along with it all, and this is something you can do very easily, is having Instagram, just Instagram, Facebook. If you can be a member in good standing of a forum and not just post your videos there every time you make something, and you know, um, join in the topics and threads, and then learn things from them to be able to get ideas of cool video ideas, and then share a video there. But forums, they're almost a waste of time. Like I go on the Slingshot forum and chat with them here and check out new things sometimes. But you only ever get a couple views from sharing something there. It's not going to make your video go anywhere. Reddit is a place where you can share things. It's kind of a bigger forum thing, and if you do a really good job, it can take off. But things that take off on Reddit is the written word or a neat photo or something, or a natively embedded video if they allow it, or whatever it is. Like, it's more of a story that takes off there. So if you have enough of a story around your thing, you can kind of share it. But your best bet is just to actually, instead of getting so bent out of shape with all that, just having a Facebook and Instagram that are connected, and you share it the right way to those. So to share it to Instagram is just a photo that's square and tells the story that's in your thumbnail, and in the description you tell that you have a new video up. And on Facebook, you don't just share directly to Facebook. Share a photo once again, and then in the up above mention that it's a new video with a link to it, because YouTube allows a little bit better of a share to YouTube, and so you can always share it like the night you post it, and then the next day share the photo or a GIF, which if you get like a little download of like this one here, see if I can bring it up. You get Giphy like this. You can just open up your video you already made, turn it into a GIF by just selecting an in point and an out point, and then you can post those GIFs to Facebook. So maybe share the best fish catch of the video, and you put that GIF together with Giphy and just export it, and you upload it onto Facebook with a link so that people can click that and take them right to the video. Let's see. We will see what other your questions here. So, what about all those rumors that YouTube flags things as kid? Don't worry about the kid thing. Just select your video. If you're not making, how to be a 7-year-old that loves Nerf guns videos, then you can say your videos are not kid videos. If you're not doing kid stuff, like if your video isn't like how to start a fire for kids, then you don't have to worry about it, and just say, you click on that. You can actually go into the settings section of YouTube and go into the settings and select these videos are not for children right from the beginning, and it just automatically does that in all the videos, and you don't have to worry about it at all. And then, unless you're trying to make a kids channel, just don't make videos that are like, you could even make a video on how to modify your Nerf gun to, fish, and it wouldn't be a kids video. You could make it on kids' toys and stuff, but if it wasn't a kids' toy review, but it was like using a kid's toy to catch fish with, it's not a kids video. Do you recommend, you don't have to swear in it to make sure that it's not a kid's video. Somebody actually told me that they swear in their videos now because they want to make sure that when they say it's not a kid's video, nobody confuses it with it being a kid's video. It's like, you don't have to swear in your videos to do that. That's overkill. You're actually losing views because of that, because now you've made it so that people that don't like swearing don't want to be there. Do you ever take a light setup with you? I do now rather use in the past I used the infrared and the dark camera after dark, but now I actually take a light with me, and I'd rather use that after dark, because it just doesn't, as soon as your footage goes to infrared, people sign off the video. Once they recommended. So, and the other thing about sharing your videos on Facebook, if you do make a GIF about the cool cooking or something like that, or the cool unboxing of like some everyday carries, and that's your thing, or an unboxing, you find some Facebook groups that are all about whatever you do, and then you share it to Facebook, and then you share that to the thing with your video link of above. But you shouldn't do that if you're just sharing the native YouTube setup. If you're sharing a photo with a little bit of a story below it, your description of what, why that is viable or interesting, and always try to keep on those platforms a little 4-to-1 ratio of like 4 posts that are just like, hey, what up? Here's a pretty photo of a fish. Here's a pretty photo of what I'm up to. Here's a cool photo of a vista. Fifth one, check me out on our newest video kind of thing. You don't want to just be like always like just buy. And depending on who you are, you don't even have to make any of them like, hey, this new video is out as a notification. It could just be continual, like that kind of content, and they're like, oh, some of these are have to do with his next video. It's a little, they could just be a little video clip. Hey, we're out here, fishing. I just caught a crazy, trout. What a great video this is gonna make. Check that out in a couple days on YouTube. Keep it simple. Do you recommend having any legal paperwork drawn up for a lawyer? If so, what kind? No, you should be fine with doing YouTube without needing to have legal representation until you are, much, much bigger. And then even then, you just, as long as you're not a jerk, then you're pretty much all set, I think. What tax forms does YouTube channel? You're self-employed if when you're working with YouTube, so you just got to pay your taxes or they come after you. Do you recommend uploading a video directly from your phone or your PC? I would say if you can, you're going to be editing them on your best case scenario. You're editing it on your PC. So there is editing because YouTube actually does give you brownie points for when it when YouTube sees the edits. It knows where those edits are. It knows where those cuts are. It knows where there's transitions. It knows the quality of the footage that you're uploading. So if you do 1080, footage, and then you work on it and you have maybe some 4K GoPro footage and things like that, it's worth having the software and rendering that off, exporting that from your editing software in 4K and taking a little bit longer to upload it to YouTube, because they will see that it plays out in 4K. That's a higher quality, and you get those extra brownie points, and you're pushed. That's one more little brownie point that maybe puts you ahead of the guy that was next to you in the running for the next those next views. So it's worth learning more about that and doing it as you go. Did I say something? What income source should we focus on? Oh, gotcha. I missed that first question and read it wrong. What income source should we focus on? Like Amazon links, ad revenue, sponsors. I would say to start with, try to get. That's the hard thing. It's like you can't get affiliate programs. Maybe would be the best way to look. Look for an affiliate program with somebody, because you're not going to be able to get Amazon links until you have enough of a channel to show viability. They won't accept you. They've been a little more picky, I think. I could be wrong. They could have changed that, but I don't think so. They're not giving that out until people have at least 10,000 subscribers, kind of thing. Ad revenue, you get as soon as you can, have over 4,000 views or something, like 4,000 watch hours, and I don't know, whatever it is. We talked about that last time. And so we're focused on making better videos, and if you can, and you're making reviews on battle box or something like that, and you can get an affiliate program, signed into an affiliate program with one of those people and consistently do it, so that every time you're showing off the unboxing of their battle box or their bass box or fishing lure box or whatever, so that you make conversions, then do your best to make that happen. You could, there are actually affiliate program websites where you can look up and find like whole lists of businesses, and you sign up through the major company of that affiliate thing, and then you have all these different brands that you could purchase stuff from, and then you use it in your video, and then you're like, link is in the description below if you want to buy it. Purchasing this full disclosure, it is an affiliate link, so you help support this channel so we can make more content. Or as Chris Thorne would always say, for more information, check out the link in the description below if you want to know about this product. And I like that one because in the description, it showed that it was a link, and it says down there that's an affiliate link, and so at least they've made it all that way. And then they're like, I don't care if they decide they don't care in the video because you disclose it then, which you don't have to disclose it. Then it's just polite to disclose it later that I have a big list and it says support this channel by shopping these links. So for the first question is about money. Where is the bulk? There's just not going to be really any money to speak of until you get, I don't know, 10,000 subscribers and a consistent 10,000 views kind of per video, or 5 to 10,000 views per video, and you start getting some of them to pop more and get 100,000 views every so often, kind of thing. And then at Christmas time, you'll be like, woohoo! Like, actually get a real paycheck from doing this, and you can tell your mom to get off your back. Or your brother, depending on who you are. My brother, Josh, he's just doesn't think he can make any money with YouTube. For the first rereading that one, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You are welcome. Best to focus on content first before money. Yeah, right. I mean, it's a good idea to have it in mind. Doesn't hurt. But as far as money is concerned, you're going to be spending a lot more if trying to do your best before you can get to making some more. Now, don't make the big mistake of, I keep bringing Chris Thorne into this because he's just such a good example. I hate to say it, but a good example of what not to do half of the time. He does a lot of very successful things, but he is such an example, and it's almost like he's burnt himself out because of this. He spent so much time spending money on stuff so that he can get views. Cold Steel comes out with a new knife, and he's really good at reviewing stuff, so he goes and spends the $350 for this knife, and or gets all these people to give him stuff so he can do reviews on it, and then he's just frazzled and fried and losing all kinds of opportunities because he's just blowing all the money that he could have been investing in either more better equipment or better food for his family, clothes for his kids, kind of thing. It's like you don't want to make wise choices, like looking up like Wish, the best fishing rod, cheapest fishing rod on Wish. Boom, you got a view. Pimping out my RV with Wish. $100 splurge for pimping out my RV on Wish. Boom, now you got a video, and people are like, wow, what can I do to make my RV pimped out for, is that safe word to say? Like, I mean, that was Pimp My Ride, and they're just, like, that means just making your car fancy. I don't even know if that's appropriate nowadays. But whatever. It gets the point across, with Wish. You spend $100 to get all kinds of crap that you can kind of like make fun of some and be like, this is actually pretty darn cool. This is like become my most useful thing. This random thing that I stick in my cup holder and it holds my phone. It's so convenient. Whatever, something like that. and you provide value for people with showing that off. The site that I was talking about, as far as, I'm not sure what those are called. I don't use any of them right now. But if you type in affiliate program websites and stuff like that, you might be able to find it. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. I just know that they're out there, and I looked at them a couple of years ago. But you do good. That's the thing, is you do good videos, and you're going to start getting all kinds of offers. And like, oh, will you review? That's awful. They're usually Asian companies. So I started to slip into my Asian accent there. Will you review our flashlight? I don't know what that was. That was a little bit of everything in that one. But that's what they say. Their emails are always broken, and you can tell it's not their first English isn't their first language. And they want you to review their flashlights. And if you can guarantee a couple hundred views, over 1,000 views of video, then you're worth $100. Say, or $50. Say, send me two flashlights and $100, and you got yourself a review video. If you're do anybody have any questions about thumbnails or anything else? We are coming up on an hour and a half. Let me just open up the community post from today. I think there was 2 questions there that people had dropped that weren't going to be able to join us tonight, that they had asked. Maybe there's some more. Whoa. Audio blast. What did they ask? They asked UK Survival. He's here. So what program to use? That's something I can't encourage you guys enough. Any questions that you have, go on YouTube. What's the best program for Mac? What's the best program for PC to edit your photos? What's the best, and then don't stop there. What's the best budget program to edit your photos on Mac? What's the best budget program to edit your photos on PC? And then look up reviews on what they suggest. Don't just take their word for it. That's one of the hardest things in the world. Be very careful you don't believe those robot channels that are like, the best cameras for 2018. The Canon EOS R comes in at number 1 with the blah blah 4K. It's like, those are all designed by robots. No, they're not designed by robots. They're designed by people just trying to make money. The links in the description all go to Amazon or some other site that they have an affiliate program with, and the whole point of them making that video isn't to give you a good review on those things. You'd be better off to just go look at that's the only reason they chose those ones to be in the position number 1 or 2, is because they went to the Amazon and they searched 2000 and whatever 2020 cameras, and they picked the ones on the list that people had given the most reviews to, and they just put them in an order and said that that's the best stuff. So it might not be the best thing for you. So be selective. Find those people that we had talked about, that YouTube creators, and watch their videos, when they're actually people reviewing that care about helping you, like, get to where you're trying to go, and find out what the best for your computer. I would say Affinity Photo is the best, affordable, slightly expensive, but just one-time payment, and it's all there. It works really good. And there's all kinds of people that make, and it's a big program. Like, people make tons of tutorials on how to edit photos and stuff. So you can, if you're like, oh, I want to cut stuff out, I want to learn how to mask, I want to learn how to make more dynamic looking titles on my pictures. You can look all that stuff up, and then it's right there and easy to learn. Blue collar. How do you decide what thumbnail to use? Do you take several options, tones, colors, and topics? So that's where you're going to want to look up and watch about how to edit photos. And a good one to watch on that is not just how to edit YouTube thumbnails. You can watch some more videos on that, but look up how to edit photos for Instagram. Instagram is all about the photo, right? So that same thing with YouTube will work the same way. It's like you brighten the photo, you add some warmth, and you add some saturation, and it makes it become a little more perceivable to the eye, like warm, real life awesomeness-ishness, whatever. So let me see. We'll check one more place to make sure we've gotten everybody's questions. Maybe I was going to say last week's videos. Did anybody leave any questions last week about can you go over my oh I finally found your Kit Zero. We finally found your list of questions, and Kit Zero, you still have a blank slate for your page because you're still figuring things out before you take the deep dive, it looks like. So Kit Zero is pretty neat. You're gonna come up with a logo and come up with your stuff and start making some videos. It'll be great to see. Is Affinity only for Mac? I believe Affinity is, but I don't know for certain. Most things usually are, but like I said, if you Google it, you can find out the answer to that, as well as a similar program to be able to do the same stuff. Photoshop is very similar, and if you don't mind paying the $25 a month, if you become a master of Photoshop and start now, maybe there's even a version of Photoshop so that if you don't want all the extra stuff, that you don't have to pay for it monthly. I don't know. But if you became a master of Photoshop, you might find yourself liking photos so much that while you're building your YouTube channel, all of a sudden now you could have a job editing photos. It's really fun. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is edit photos, and there's just so many little aspects and masking, and it's like you got a little shadow on the face here, and you can remove some of that shadow. You got imperfection. You got things that you didn't want in the background, somebody that you didn't want in the background, because it's just taking away from the photo, but you didn't have enough nerve to tell them to get out of the photo, and so you cut them out and you throw a nice river in the background or something, add a little blur to it, and it looks like it was there right from the beginning. It's neat. And I get to put my little audiobook on, just sit there and working on my photo. It's fun. What do you think of a new photo cover? Tyler, you got some photo covers for us. All right. Up for the challenge. I think it would be cool as we keep building this. Maybe we should, as a group, pick a topic, and we should all bang out a video on it. Maybe think about doing that for the Walmart Survival Challenge. I still haven't done one, or a Wish Survival Challenge, and we could all do the exact same title, and we could share some and kind of work on our videos together before we launch them, looking at private links or something like that, if you guys are interested. And I could help you try to develop. We could do it for 3 weeks. Do the videos. We could watch them, review, talk about what to change, and what some recommends for changing it. Be very careful with your audio. I'm not saying that this is his thing. It's just something I noticed when I listened to some of your guys' channels. The audio going way up and way down. Learn how to work your audio. It's better to be quieter on the music than too loud. Who was it that I watched one of their videos? Go Auto. Do you have a teaser? I know I'm getting sidetracked.
So, first of all, I would like to say welcome back to the channel.
Yeah.
It's a rainy day in Dallas. There's not really a whole lot we can do.
I'm not seeing it here. Somebody, as I was watching, had a teaser that that just it takes off. It takes off. It's really loud. It comes up and it's like it could be half the length, and it's like it's way louder. So I turned my thing up to listen to you, and it was it Bushcraft Twins? No, it wasn't. I don't know who it was. Now that I'm saying that, but be very careful of your audio, because that can be a big turnoff. Rooftop tent for free. That is a clever one. Rooftop tents are pretty trendy. That's pretty neat. I don't know what happened to your photo. It's like not so good a day for it. With the right photo editing, though, you could kind of improve it. But you said you got a rooftop tent here, but it's not on the roof. I think popping it on the roof would make a big difference. Are you streamed? Are the videos somehow you're putting them up live? What do you got going on there, Tyler? Let's see, where is he? Yeah, 3 weeks takes about a year to get stuff from Wish. So we just do Walmart Survival Challenge, and we all do it, and we all, put up unlisted links so that we can share it around, and or you share it with me so that we can review it, talk about how to redo the thumbnails again and again until we get it all right, and then we all launch them on the same day. And that's maybe that's something I'll keep formulating how we could do this, and we work towards that. Oh, that was being built at 1 a.m. in a live stream. Well, that's a clever way to do it. No wonders. It's pretty good that it doesn't even look at 1 a.m. But nevertheless, even if you do something like that, and you can always, take that picture, take that intentional picture at a later date, and and slap something on there. Don't be afraid to change your pictures. Unless a video is doing really well, this right here, great thumbnail. I love that one. You got your Joe Robinette sticker. People see that. You got the Borealis saw, an axe, GoPro. It's like people see that. Catch and cook trout. A little too far away. Your inclination is always to put a lot of little cute things in there and stuff, and sometimes that works for you, and sometimes I don't know if it does. What does that say? It swallowed the hook live. So, I don't know. I'm just getting distracted looking at all the stuff. Any other questions? I'm lost. Are you still out there, backcountry runaway? Lost somewhere out there in the wild? I would say to intentionally, it's better to not post something than to post something and it not be at this point. Why am I having such a hard time copying and pasting? Not post something and fail. We've been talking about that with Greg's channel. His one right now is doing pretty good, and we didn't have something great. We could have posted something last week, but it's like you want to keep the momentum. Oh, I did see this when you posted that because I'm trying to remember. Sometimes I go to look at you guys' channels and I didn't subscribe. Like AT Wisdom, very simple, tells a story, and anybody that's thinking of doing the trail or been on the trail and doing the trail, it's like you want you want trail wisdom. So that's I'd say very clickable and stuff. I don't know why it didn't get clicked, but while you're out there, grab some poisonous plants and line them up, take some pictures of those. Um, nice clean picture there, looks good. So keep up the good work. Popular uploads at the top, good, always good, good stuff. So I'll do a video using the tent and show the first. Yes, exactly. Yeah, even though you did like a nutty at night thing, do an intentional video later, and especially for people that watch the other one, they want to see like the completion of your building a rooftop tent, and you can get a nice photo of it at the right position and stuff. The big issue so far is finding a place that I can legally build a survival shelter. That is a problem if you can't find a place. You go on the Bushcraft USA forum, ask that question, read the threads there, or Reddit. They in the Bushcraft area. If you look up threads there's lots of information on what you'll be able, people have good recommendations about state parks and how much you can do there, and or state lands and how to find state lands, things like that. What you can get away with. That's the best place to look up, ask those questions is Reddit and Bushcraft USA, if you're from the U.S., to find those places where you can go be wild and how wild you can be in the places that aren't as optimal, and possibly even find a buddy, maybe somebody local on one of the forums, so that you can be out there and maybe they have a piece of property and they want, because everybody wants a buddy, and you go and start bushcrafting together. I'm doing 2 days canoeing trip on an unknown river this week and hoping to record it. Any tips? I do only eat what I can catch. And going to do only eat what we can catch type thing. I wouldn't be okay. So I mean, if you're used to doing that, then cool. But I don't always make it my focus is just only what you can catch and cook. You can call it catch and cook and bring other stuff. You can bring peppers and onions and have a blast and make it fun for everybody. If it's just you and you want to torture yourself, and then find out that, like, the other day, like, I went and did a chunk of maybe it was the AT. No, it wasn't the long trail. It was the Appalachian Trail. We did just an overnight, 6 days up. It's 6 days. Whew. How is that an overnight? 6 miles into a hike-in lake, and then I caught one brook trout that was like 4.5 inches long. It was really lame, and in a minnow. And I ate the minnow. I had to put the brook trout back because it was under 6 inches. So it was like, it was super lame, but I brought bacon and I wrapped that minnow in the bacon, and it made it more entertaining. And then I realized my buddies hadn't really ever done anything all as big as this before, as far as like the woodsy side of it all. And I was like, man, I dropped the ball. I should have brought apples and cheddar cheese and made some bacon wrapped apple cheddar cheese balls, toasted over the fire. It would have been so good. And it's like, so don't be afraid to bring stuff, because if you can come up with a clever or beautiful cooking recipe, and you have like your thumbnail for this adventure should be literally, I would say, the canoe turned over, the river in the background, and like your wild feast like displayed on the top of the canoe. So you got it kind of like towards, like, so you got your canoe kind of laying down into the water, and you got that little bit of a turn by the front. There's enough room to lay it out, and you got a close-up photo so you can see it's the front turn of the canoe, and you can see the a trout on a leaf, maybe toasted or about going to be toasted, and you have like your little cooker or your some other things, or in, you know, maybe you can see kind of down the river, and you can see the fire next to the river, and you got the trout, and you got an onion, garlic, and you know, a packet of bacon, and it's like, ooh, that's like, and on the fishing pole leaning up against the whole mess, it's like it's just like, you just see that and you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to have. I can't get out and have that adventure right now, but I can watch Rocky Mountain Wanderer have that adventure. So I'm gonna watch his video, kind of thing. So be creative like that. Don't limit yourself, because if you just only catching and cooking what you're only allowed to eat what you catch and cook, you don't have the opportunity to be creative with cool cooking recipes or show something off. It says, okay, Fowler, be my buddy and let me use your land. I have a question about my adventure I'm on now. Could I message it to you? It is calamine lotion. If you wiped with the wrong leaves, you're going to need a bottle of... No, just kidding. Yeah, you can message me. So I think that just about wraps it up. I hope that answers or gives you some ideas, you know, how to find that subject for yourself. I don't personally do. I feel weird a little bit about saying like open up and look for other look for the subject and copy it, because I don't necessarily do that to myself very often. I do want to do some of those things. When I saw the food chain challenge, I do, and I am going to, I think, do a 39 hours series or one episode in like a tribute to Uncut Angling and his 39 hours series. Maybe someday I get good enough they'll let me on the show, and his channel. AP Bassing did it last year. It was such a fun topic for fishing, like trying to spend 39 hours catching as many fish as you can over 10 inches and logging them all on the board. So I really want to do that. I want to do the food chain challenge, and I want to do the Walmart challenge, and you know, I don't know. I never felt extremely drawn to doing a wish challenge. You know, maybe an everyday carry overnight kind of survival challenge. You know, using all the stuff that I have on me to make myself as comfortable as possible, plus a water bottle. I need some sort of a metal water bottle so I can boil water. One more. So I think that about covers it. Look, always be looking, always be observing, not just enjoying your time on YouTube now that you're, you know, trying to make that transition into making some videos and getting some views, and hopefully I can help you get there, and we can, you know, have some fun doing it as we go along if you stick around, and we'll just keep plugging away at different subjects and widening your knowledge. And so each week after this, I recommend definitely having YouTube Red. You can go plug your pods in and you know, listen to this again a second time, and then go and look up some other subjects based on what you heard if you didn't know more about it, how to do a good thumbnail, and listen to some of the other guys, because you can download with YouTube Red, you can download the videos, and then you can listen to them on a plane, or you can listen to them with the screen off, and you could just listen to some of these other creators about how to create stuff, or you can watch them. Maybe you live off gridish. You know, for those of you that are on the trail or doing things like that, you know, you should be on the trail and be present when you're on the trail. But at the same time, if you're hiking by yourself, I don't see any reason why you couldn't download a couple videos and then listen to them while you're on the trail to gain more knowledge and stuff here and there, or watch a video in the evenings. It's not against the rules as far as I'm concerned, but it's up to you how much of a purist you want to be about all that, and have fun doing it. So I will say thank you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your questions. If you have any more questions that come up during the week after this, check out the go to the link. Go to the wow, my brain's fried. I'm done. Yeah, leave them in the comments below if you have any questions, and each week we'll check there. And that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Fowler out.